What is the Bible? I suppose it's like a, put it loosely, it's like a collection of books and stories and letters.
What is it? What's the Bible? Online.
The Bible is a collection of 66 books written over a lot of years, and it's inspired by God, and it's historically accurate.
Is that fungus on here?
Parker, what is the Bible?
The Bible is a collection of 66 books, 20 something for one, and the other of the story of Israel, the story of man, and the story of creation, and the story of Jesus Christ.
The Bible is the inspired word of God.
Kobe. You won't freaking believe what I just found, dude.
The Dead Sea Scrolls is a scroll found in 1947 when a group of teenagers were watching their sheep and goats. One of the young shepherds, while looking for his lost goat, happened to throw a rock into a cave and heard it shatter. This led him to investigate, which led him to discover a collection of jars in a cave, some of which contained scrolls. These scrolls contained texts that were more than 2,000 years old. Because of their discovery, archaeologists came to the region where they were able to recover thousands of additional fragments. When these fragments were all combined, they made up somewhere between 800 and 900 manuscripts. The Dead Sea Scrolls contain portions of every book in the Old Testament except for Esther, including the entire book of Isaiah.
I wrote these books!
Okay, Mr. Moses, we're sorry.
I dealt with these people for 40 years. I'm tired of these people.
Sorry, Mr. Moses.
I'm just so tired.
Good morning, America. I'm weather reporter It's Raining. Reports from Egypt say that after a week of strange weather, going from frogs to a bloody river, a large portion of Egyptian slave populations up and left. Our sources say that this population was Jewish. Our Papyrus Brooklyn 35.1446, which is a list of 95 slaves to an Egyptian household, 40 of which are Hebrew Semitic names, the date of this paper being around 1743 BC. The second source being the Soleb inscription, which tells the story of Pharaoh Amenhotep III conquering land of the nomads of Yahweh, with the portal of Semitic prisoner from around 1400 BC. And finally, Merneptah Stel, a podium that says, Israel is wasted, its seed is not, and Heru is become a widow because of Egypt. The inscription likely refers to a small campaign into Canaan, with Egypt conquering, dated 1270 BC. That's all from me. Back to you.
Whoa. Hey, it's crazy archaeologist Dr. Dig It Up, and I have 3 facts for you today. Number 1, did you know that in Shiloh, the temple outline is still there from the time of Samuel, the prophet? Excavators at Beth Shemesh uncovered a massive ritual stone table in a room of worship dating to circa 3,100 BC. The particular table harkens to an account in 1 Samuel 6, where the Ark of the Covenant was delivered to Beth Shemesh around the same period on the Great Stone. Number 3, the falling of the wall of Jericho. At the dig site, they found clay pots filled with wheat and other completely burned foods, correlating perfectly with the events seen in Joshua.
Besides that, there were over 570 prophecies about a coming Messiah, and Jesus fulfilled all of them, some of which were written over 1,000 years before he was born. All of this testifies to the fact that the Old Testament is historically accurate.
So, say your name and occupation.
I'm John Mark, but most call me Mark. I'm an evangelist.
Did you write the book of Mark?
Well, yeah, I wrote what is said to be the first gospel.
Can you prove to us you wrote the book of Mark?
Duh, we can start with the earliest manuscripts being literally titled According to Mark. With 5,856 Greek manuscripts, found the oldest being 130 AD, after death. I have church tradition going back to 325 AD, with Bishop Eusebius giving tribute to me, writing down what I heard from Peter's sermons. I got Clement, who died in 212, and Irenaeus, who died in 202, who are 2 early church leaders who both supported me, Mark, as the writer.
Perfect. Your name and occupation.
I'm Luke. I'm a doctor.
Did you write the Gospel of Luke?
Of course I did. And I'm a doctor.
Can you prove it?
Yes, I can. I'm a doctor. We got the earliest manuscript of the Gospel, Papyrus 75, dated 200 AD, ascribes the work to me. And I got Irenaeus writing in 180 AD. And the Muratorian fragment, a 7th century Latin manuscript thought to be copied and translated from a Greek manuscript as old as AD 170, giving me tribute. I wrote the Gospel, and I'm a doctor.
Say your name and occupation.
Yeah, I'm John. I was a fisherman. You can now say I'm a fisher of men.
Did you write the Gospel according to John?
Yeah, I did.
Can you prove it?
Heck yeah, I can prove it. I got Irenaeus, the man, the myth, the legend, writing in 200 AD, saying that I, the beloved disciple, wrote the Gospel of Ephesus. Irenaeus even wrote that when he himself was young, he knew another teacher, Polycarp, bishop of Smyrna, who lived in 69 to 150 AD, who claimed to have been tutored by me, John. Then there, historian Eusebius, who recorded this Polycarp-Irenaeus connection in the same way. It is also confirmed by Clement of Alexandria in 200 AD, in the Latin Muratorian canon in 180 AD. I wrote the Gospel, deal with it.
Say your name and occupation.
I'm Matthew. I was a tax collector, and some people think I'm a little autistic, maybe.
Did you write the Gospel according to Matthew?
Papias, Irenaeus, and Paetanius in Origen all report that I was the writer of the first Gospel. Papias, 60 to 130 AD. He wrote, Matthew put together the oracles in the Hebrew language, and each one interpreted them as best as he could. Paetanius also confirmed that I was the author of the first Gospel. The great church historian Eusebius of Caesarea wrote that Paetanius, a church leader in the late 2nd to possibly 3rd century, came across the Hebrew version of my Gospel. I wrote what I saw and what I heard of Jesus Christ.
Howdy. Shabbat Shalom. I'm Josephus. I'm a Jewish historian. I live from 37 to 100 AD. I provide the longest secular reference to Jesus in any first century reference. I said in Iniquities, 1863, "At this time there was a wise man called Jesus, and his conduct was good, and he was known to be virtuous. Many people among the Jews and other nations became his disciples. Pilate condemned him to be crucified and to die, but those who had become his disciples did not abandon his discipleship. They reported that he appeared to them 3 days after the crucifixion, and that he was alive. Accordingly, he was perhaps the Messiah, concerning whom the prophets have reported wonders. And the tribe of the Christians so named after him have not disappeared to this day. I give first-hand testimony that what was reported in the Gospels is historically accurate and credible. I point to the crucifixion under Pilate, Jesus as seen as the Messiah by his followers, and the reports of his resurrection."
I'm Cornelius Tacticus. I vibed from 55 to 120 CE, and is often called the greatest historian of ancient Rome. Much of what I wrote is now lost. Fortunately, there's one remaining portion, which is the interest to this discussion. The portion describes Nero blaming the Christians for the Great Fire of Rome, and it reported, "Therefore, to stop the rumor, Nero substituted as culprits and punished in the utmost refinements of cruelty a class of men, loathed for their vices, whom the crowd styled Christians. Christus, the founder of the name, had undergone the death penalty in the reign of Tiberius, by sentence of the procurator Pontius Pilatus, and the pernicious superstition was checked for a moment, only to break out once more, not merely in Judea, the home of the disease, but in the capital itself, where all things horrible or shameful in the world collect and find a vogue. My text points to 1. Christians are named after their founder, Christus. Christus died by the death penalty during the Emperor Tiberius' reign. Pontius Pilate, procurator, sentenced Christus to death, and the disease spread all the way to Rome and had a large enough following to receive blame for the Great Fire." Sources. Oh, that's it.
Wow.
Why am I doing this?
The Greek historian Nick of something, in his work Pseudo-Chrysostom, said Paul's 5'5", so be 5'5".
Hi, I'm the Apostle Paul. I wrote half of the New Testament. While most of my letters have my name in it, as the author, what does history say? Can I get up now?
No.
Clement of Rome, who lived from 35 AD to 90 AD, in historical work gives me credit for writing my letters, as he would have met me personally. He was a cool guy. I got the church father Ignatius of Antioch quoting most of my letters around 105 AD. Let's talk about my letter themselves. There are 800 early copies of my letters, with the oldest copy, P46, from the 3rd century AD. Having my letters directed to Rome, Ephesus, Galatia, and my second letter to Corinth, having little to no changes from the letters found centuries later, keeping them consistent and accurate throughout history. Not to mention all the archaeology that proves me historically accurate from the roads. I walked being real and findable, and political figures I talked to, quoted, and found elsewhere in history, to archaeologists finding the marketplace filled with idols seen in Acts 17:23, even the mentioned shrine to the unknown god being found, but with numerous examples throughout the area. Anything else you need me to say?
Let's retake that, but we'll shave him bald because Paul is historically bald.
Wait, what?
Now we have had our fun and learned a whole lot, but there are so many key moments in history that help build the reliability of the Bible. We wanted to take a moment at the end here to run through little fun facts with you to all history has to show. There are 6,000 surviving manuscripts for the New Testament. comparing the incredible amount of manuscript evidence has shown that the New Testament is 99.5% accurate, being scribed accurately for centuries. The Nazareth Decree, a marble slab found in Nazareth in 1878 and inscribed with a decree issued 41 AD by Emperor Claudius, says to the effect that no graves should be distributed or bodies extradited with offenders sentenced to death. A plausible explanation of both the decree and its location is that Claudius heard of Jesus' empty tomb was investigating the Roman riots of 49 AD and decided not to let such reports surface again. This makes sense in light of the Jewish argument that Jesus' body had been stolen. The city of Ur, from which Abraham left to go to the promised land, has been discovered and excavated. Interestingly, it shows a highly developed civilization. Among other things discovered was mathematical table that was an early form of Pythagoras' theorem. In 1993, a set of ancient tablets were found, which is now known as the Mari tablet. These tablets date back to 1800 BC and included governmental records and conversations of King Zimri-Lim. Within the Mari tablets, there is information and congruence to the particular customs mentioned in Genesis. There is mention of the city of Nahor, believed to be named after Nahor, in Genesis 11:24, and the mention of the Habiru people, which would be the Hebrew people spoken of in the Bible. There are many more facts and tidbits that build the case for the Bible, but we don't have time for that. We hope you learned something and had fun.
Hello, children. It's me, Mr. Ruggers. We had a whole lot of fun, didn't we? And learned a heck of a lot. Let's recap what we've learned today. We learned that even though the Old Testament is very old and was so long ago, we can still go through archaeology and paint a picture that has history and the Bible working hand in hand. From Moses even to the time of Abraham. Yay! We learned a whole lot about the early church and its history, about who wrote it, where it was seen, how it was seen from sources, secular sources in the area. Heck, we learned that if you ask a woman to have a fake beard and a mustache, they'll pretty much do it. But what does all this put together mean? What we have to remember is this. History is not a science like biology or chemistry. George Washington isn't testable or repeatable, and I'm glad he's not. But how things are proven in history is when you have all the sources agreeing and it passes critical textual analysis. When we take everything said about Jesus and its critical text, he still comes out a man that performed miracles claiming to be God. The question is, was he God? Was he what the prophets claim would come? Did he die for our sins and come out of the grave? History sure seems to think so. So ladies and gentlemen, turn and burn!
I am historically reliable.
What are you filming? Where are we gonna put this in the movie? It didn't break!
I said when you're ready. Oh, okay. I thought it was gonna be okay.
We're making a movie.
Can I be in it somehow?
Yeah, you wanna be in our movie? Oh, we could be the crazy
you
guy.
wanna be the crazy? We can have you be the crazy guy. Okay.
Gotta be quick though. I gotta go.
Okay, just stay ready.
Ready?
Stay ready when you're filming.
Ready?
Stay ready when you're filming.
Ready?
I'm not ready.
Of the New Testament, Well, most of my letters have my name.
Say your name and occupation.
Whatever you want.
All right, cool. So I'm Rashad. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm personally just talking because I have no idea what to talk about, but I'm talking. I'm yapping. Yap Central, Yap President, Yap King.
This is the most schizophrenic thing I've ever done.
Hello, children.